Tricia. Welcome back to Ink Planner. Today we are having a little fun in the bullet journal and planner. I am coloring and having a little more creativity because we're going to be on vacation part of the week and I don't feel like we're going to have as much plans. So I'm back in my B5 Archer and Olive dot grid journal. I love this space and I have a lot of real estate here so I can get kind of creative. Our family's going on a ski trip, so I looked through my stash and found this adorable little cozy girl. I'm pretty sure I used her last January also, but she's just so cute and so fun to color, and she's a great size for a planner. I also found those fun words from Winnie and Walter that are vacation oriented, a couple of snowflakes, and a great alpha from Lawn Fawn. So I'm thinking that my left side of the page really can be very decorative, and then the right side of the page I'll do the latter half of the week when we get back, and there may still be some plans, but the kids have off of school all week, so it'll be sort of a light week for plans. So I don't have a block big enough for this cling stamp, so I'm using this stamp press just because I need the size. And this is a rubber cling stamp. If you haven't used this kind before, it works just the same as a clear, like a photopolymer stamp. I have it clung to my block, and I am just going to ink it up with VersaFine Onyx Black ink because I thought I would color it with some watercoloring. Go ahead and ink her up really well. She's a very fine, detailed stamp. And I think if I were doing this on a card or a separate sheet of paper, I would probably use my Misty just in case I didn't get all the detail, but I can't use that in my planner, obviously. So I was just careful to ink it up really well and then give it a good firm press. So now I want to spell out Ski Boyne. Boyne is the name of the place that we're going. And I used these open alphabets from Lawn Fawn, and as you can see I sort of start in the middle of the words and work my way out to the sides. It helps me center everything and keep my spacing just right. And you notice I am kind of editing out. It seems to be jumping back and forth as I'm doing all this. I'm just trying to prevent you guys having to stare at the back of my head. I do really get on top of my stamps when I'm stamping to get both good pressure and alignment. So I have it spelled out now. It says Ski Boyne. I think that's really cute. I like that it's just all lowercase. And as I mentioned, I have this really fun Winnie and Walter set, and it has great words for vacation. This is a great set for scrapbooking also, but has all kinds of fun adventure and play and weekend, family, all kinds of words to build sentiments. So I'm going to use the large fun that's scripty. And I'm going to put that down, almost make it so that it's adjacent to or it seems connected to the image of the girl. Because we already have a title up at the top, I don't want to distract from that. So this is just meant to be sort of a subtitle, and I'm keeping it real close to my bottom image. So I hunt through the rest of those words, and in a much smaller kind of typewriter font, it says Family Weekend, that I am stamping out next to the word fun. So it's Ski Boyne and Fun Family Weekend. So my thought process here is, as we go through the weekend, if I want to do a little memory keeping or just journaling about our experiences, I can write on this page just all around. I'm going to leave most of it blank, and then I can write all around my images. In the background, however, I am going to use a really faint blue. This is It's a Boy from Catherine Pooler Dye Inks, and I'm just testing it out to make sure I like the color. And I grabbed a couple of those little snowflakes from that Lawn Fawn set, and I'm just going to randomly stamp some snowflakes in my background. Some of them will be hanging off the side of the page. You don't need a ton, just enough to kind of tie everything together and make it look like a little snowy scene. There's a smaller snowflake in that set also, so I just have one on one side of the block and one on the other, and I just flip it over when I want to trade sides. So I love how that looks. And that color gets even softer as it dries. So if I do decide to do some journaling, I can write right over the top of those snowflakes and it won't be distracting. While I have my ink out here, I am going to grab a blender pen. This is from Stampin' Up! And this is just a clear marker that you can use with any ink that you have. I'm rubbing it on the glass mat here, but you could also rub it on a clear acrylic block, or some inks you can use right out of the lid of their own ink pad, which I'll show you in a second. But you pick up the color with the clear marker, and then you're able to sort of paint it onto the page. It has a watercolory look. I think there's maybe like glycerin or something also in the marker. It's not just straight water, but it picks up any color of ink pad that you have, and you can use it to paint in any image or open area. So right now I'm just doing the letters in the real pale, pale blue, even more pale as I use this marker with it. And then I am going to pull a couple more colors to add some color to my image, my focal point image, which is the girl down below. I'm sorry for that reflection. As I pulled my notebook closer to me, one of the lights above my head is reflecting right in the glass mat, and so I apologize. I didn't realize that was happening. So I'm speeding up the coloring because I'm not sure if that's what you guys want to spend your time in this video watching, but I will mention that when I dip my blender pen into the ink, and first bring it to the paper, I always start in what would be sort of the darkest, shadowiest areas of whatever I'm coloring, because as you color and scribble off, the color gets lighter and lighter and eventually disappears, which is why you can use the same marker and switch between colors so easily. But it works great for adding shadows as well, because when you start your marker on the page, it's going to start a little darker, and then as you blend towards a highlight area, it's just going to fade out. You can also build up color by putting on additional layers, but I will warn you that if you're not working on watercolor paper, which this is not, although it's a very nice thick paper, but if you do it too much, it could start to pill a little bit. I didn't have that problem here because I was pretty careful not to rub too much or get it too saturated. So I'm doing her hat and her scarf in this real pretty teal color. I think it's Bermuda Bay from Stampin' Up. And she has a lavender jacket, and that's Highland Heather from Stampin' Up. And then the powder blue skirt and the little cuff of her hat match the letters and the snowflakes. So there I am done with the coloring, other than just a little touch of blush for her skin. I didn't want to go too, I kept this very faint. I didn't want to go too creamy or tan looking, because all my colors are nice and cool, and I just want to keep it in that cool palette. So I'm just using a hint of blush for her cheeks and her legs. And that was actually Blushing Bride from Stampin' Up. And then I'm using Barely Banana from Stampin' Up. Just, again, a really light pale yellow. I don't want to go too warm. And just giving her hair a little touch of blonde. And the last step of my coloring is to just ground her a little bit and put a little blue in that. I don't know whether that's like a little snowbank she's standing on. Sorry, I'm off the bottom of the screen. I didn't realize I had shifted down so much. You can tell I'm out of practice. I haven't done this in a while. I mean the filming. But I was able to put just a little bit of blue under her feet to kind of ground her so she doesn't look like she's floating out in the middle there. So I'm thrilled with that left side of the page. Came together real quick and easy. And now the right side of the page is going to be more typical planning. I'm giving you a little closer look at the coloring there. but you'll see some still shots at the end as well. So rather than my normal columns, since this is an unusual week and we're gone on vacation for half of the week and the other half of the week my kids don't have school, so it's a pretty light week for appointments and even tasks. I'm probably going to not get as much done with all of them home. So I decided to mix it up, and I'm looking at a little cheat sheet that I made in the beginning of my bullet journal that tells me how many boxes, depending on how I want to break up the page. So I'm just counting over, and what I'm going to do is make 4 boxes on the right hand side, just stacked on top of one another. So 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, just like that. So what I'll have is I'll have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then that final box will be the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. To put my dates in, I wanted to try something new, and I'm just stamping, I don't think I've ever done this before, but I'm just stamping a black circle right across the line of each of those boxes. And I will let those dry. And then once it's dry, then I'm going to come back in with a gel pen and write in the numeric date. And then just real easy across the top, I'm just going to write the day of the week, which is especially important in a layout like this where it's not what I'm used to looking at. So again, I have Wednesday, Thursday on the top, and then Friday on the lower left, and Saturday and Sunday are going to share that box on the lower right. So I'm just kind of counting that out and deciding whether I want to divide that, and I end up just putting a line right down the middle. And here I come with that white gel pen. I'm using a Jelly Roll pen. I'm just getting it started to get the ink flowing on my hand, and then you can see I've gone through and just written in the numbers in those black circles. And then I'm taking a gray pen. I usually do this with like my Tombow marker, or I have Stampin' Write markers. For some reason I grabbed this lettering pen, which probably shouldn't use this for, but it was handy, so I grabbed it. And I'm just giving a shadow down one side of the boxes. It just gives them a little extra oomph, makes it more interesting. So I decided to pull out that Lawn Fawn stamp set again and get that small snowflake, the same one I used on the left side. And I'm going to use that as an icon for my events. So I went through and stamped out little dots, and it seems like I do have a lot of events, but it's just kids practice. It really is not much going on in our week. The one thing that is kind of important that I do want to stand out is we have a meeting on Thursday, so I'm stamping that in a label. And these labels, I don't know if you saw my last video, but I have a smaller set of labels that fit nicely in my columns. And then this set that I just showed you is a larger set from Scraptastic Club, and those work better in larger spaces, like when I use boxes like this. So here I'm coming through with my friction pen and just writing in all of my events, mostly practices, and a couple of games over the weekend, but that's pretty much all we have going on. My final step for this page is to pull out a Wink of Stella pen and just add a little shimmer to her hat and her scarf and her boots. And all you do for that is give it a gentle squeeze, and the clear shimmery liquid comes out, and you can paint it right over the top of whatever you have created. I'm trying to catch the light there so you can see the shimmer. I'm not sure if you can very well, but that's okay. In real life it adds extra bling, and it's really fun. So I'm just looking over my page to see if it's finished, and I noticed that I had not put the month anywhere. And that's not really a big deal. I mean, I know what month we're in, so I could have left it blank, but I did decide to pull out this February stamp set from Studio Calico. It has a very fine font for the word February, and I thought I'll do it in that super soft ink, which will tie some of that blue over onto the right page. And I'm just testing it on a scrap there, and I'm just going to put it right in between all my boxes. Not very bold, but it just does, it brings a little of that blue over to the right side because I didn't have any of that over there. And it serves the purpose of a title. So that is my finished layout for this week. We are looking forward to our ski getaway as a family, and this side may end up having some journaling on it, and then the right side can be functional when we get home and we're getting back in action. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you soon.